So a couple buddies of mine know that I make websites for small businesses, so they sent me this. First, we'll check out the video, then I'll go over it.
Watch this. Google Maps, find a business that has good reviews but no website. Copy the info. ChatGPT, in this prompt, paste in the info from Google Maps, hit enter. Scroll all the way down and click copy. Go to this website, put in the name of the business, and paste in what ChatGPT gave you, and then click on Create My Website. 2 minutes later, you have a fully built out website for a business that didn't have a website at all. Click on Settings, click on Client Sharing, and then click on Create Client Link. And this is where you charge for the website itself. So I usually charge $500 to build a website and $100 a month to maintain it. And then you put in the customer's email right here, and then we'll build you a link for them to pay for it and access the website. So pick up the phone, give them a call, and sell them this website. Then go back to Google Maps and do this with 10 more businesses. And if you don't get a single sale, comment something spicy in the comments. And comment prompt if you want to use the exact prompt I used to build this website and many others that you can sell to businesses today.
All right. So, looked for a business, found this one, copy pasted. Here's the prompt that he wrote. Write me a prompt that I can use in the vibe coding. Vibe coding is pretty much, most people don't know how to code. I mean, I don't know how to code. I've learned, but I don't know how to code like that. Vibe coding, that's what it is, kind of try to figure things out. Build me a sexy website for a company called, and that's the business I found, David Key has roofing, so shout out to them. They do good work. That has no website right now. Here's their info. So you copy paste, blah, blah, blah. You go down, you're just copying that, all the information that, in this case, ChatGPT gives you. So put that information in there, copy paste. So let's go. So I wrote some notes. If you see me looking down, that's what it is. I got some notes while this is building, so you guys can check it out. It's going to build it in iterations. So you'll see something first, and then it will build this section and this section. So once you see something on the screen, that doesn't mean that it's done yet. But anyway, so this is like many other AI builders. I've made a video before: Wix, Hostinger, Squarespace, GoDaddy, so on and so forth. So I'm making this video so whoever is interested in knowing this information, whoever thinks that this is also a good idea, just so you know the pros and the cons about it. The pro definitely, and as you'll see, builds a pretty cool website, pretty clean. That's always a pro. And I would say that's how they get you. But this is not ownership. That's the big thing that's just right off the bat. And I think when it comes to websites, me included, as I'm learning, as I keep doing them, as I keep creating them, I'm learning how they work and the requirements for them to work. And one of the biggest things, and this is what I tell small business owners, is at least for small business owners, you need to have ownership. So right now, even in video games and in streaming, there's more or less of a movement happening where people are not crazy. They're catching on. They're not crazy about, they're catching on to the fact that we're not owning things, that we're kind of just renting things. So think Netflix, Spotify, Audible. You'll pay for that. And even for those of you that say, oh, well, Audible gives me a book. Well, you should probably check the fine print in that, because I was recently learning that even when you purchase a book, an ebook outright, if that platform, let's just say Amazon, loses the right to that book, you no longer have access to that book. So just something to keep in mind. But again, Netflix, you don't actually own any of these movies. And when those licenses finish, you can no longer watch those movies, so on and so forth. Same thing with video games. I heard the Nintendo 2 is pissing a lot of people off for that very reason. But anyway, so this is where the underlying code comes in. That's just tech talk for the stuff that makes your website look like it does, the GUI, the graphic interface. That's the code. As a business owner, you need to be able to own that, especially if you're spending a lot of time building it. Now, you would say, well, I'm not spending much time building this particular website, and this is true. This is what I'm saying. This is convenience. So I've made this point before. Convenience comes at a price. So insanely convenient. Obviously, building a pretty cool website so far, but it comes at a price. Here's another thing. As I've been building them, I've learned about frameworks. I still don't understand them in its entirety, but I do know that a framework like gets you SEO. They load faster, they work faster. That's just pretty much the scaffolding of your website. And then there's also React. From my understanding, React is a little bit more complicated and it's used to make apps, things like that. So these are different frameworks. Why am I mentioning this? Well, Landing Site AI doesn't disclose what framework they're using. So they're building the site, they have the code, but you have access to none of that. So you don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. So that's just something to keep in mind. And something to keep in mind as AI keeps getting bigger and bigger and more competent, if you will. It's going to come with a lot of pros and it's definitely going to come with a lot of cons. So especially on something like this, when you see that it's done, obviously it's done, just keep in mind that we pay a price for the convenience. So it made a site pretty quickly, and I had previously made another one and made something similar. But here you go, especially for this David Kihas. Shout out to them. I heard they do good work. Um, has your information on there. Some of the things are responsive, so it'll pop out trying to call them, get the free inspection. See? And there's where we go to the first thing. You got to upgrade. So upgrading pretty much means pay them a subscription and then you'll be able to have access to these different features. But anyway, going back to the design, pretty good design, you know. It would just be iterations of changing this and this. And see, here's the thing for businesses like this. Presumably they're not just going to take the website as is. As you guys saw, I don't know, 2 3 minutes, don't know how long it was, but they're probably going to want to change some things, maybe include some of their pictures, so on and so forth. But let's just check it out. So far, pretty good. They're probably going to want to include their guys on there too, probably serving Big Bear and surrounding mountains, so on and so forth. So this is the information that Landing Site AI got from the prompt that we initially put in, obviously phone number and things like that, which is great. Making the sites, giving them a call. I'm pretty sure those are the amount of reviews. So first off, great site. But here's the point. You see how it says 9 free chats remaining? So this is a free account. I haven't paid for anything. So I made the site, and on the surface, it looks great, which it is, but 9 free chats remaining. That means that, let's just say this guy, this David Kihas guy says, hey, you know what? Can you add another number? Can you change that number? Or can you change the colors? That's where these chats come in. So you as, I mean, I guess you're somewhat of a developer, you're going to start including the chats. Can you change this color? You're going to try to change these templates and you're going to run out of chats and you're going to have to upgrade. So that's a big, important thing for you to notice. But here's my point. This site so far exists. We don't know where it's hosted. We don't know what framework it's using. And as far as the website goes, it has no domain. And here's the thing to remember about domains. Domains, at least from my experience, is the one thing business owners or somebody has to pay for. So it would be davidkihasroofing.com or davidkihasroofingBigBear.com. So they would presumably buy it. It's usually floating around $20, but not all the time. But in this case, it would probably be $28. That would be the one thing that he would own. But let's check out what this young guy told us to do. So you go to the settings, and this is just some random email that I put in there for the moment. And this is where you could change certain things. This is kind of similar to the code. That's just HTML. Here we go. Here's the plan. Here's what I'm talking about. Single page website. So it's a single page, $10 a month, 100 monthly AI edits. And for anybody who's using AI to prompt and to change things, in this case, I obviously have experience in it. Those 100 monthly AI edits will go by extremely fast. Hosting, including who's hosting, we don't know. Free logo. Obviously, you could do that on a separate platform. AI is obviously doing that as well. Here's the other thing: $1 custom domain, because they get it for you. So that's kind of how they tie you into their infrastructure, and infrastructure is everything in this case. Pro, $20 a month, many pages. I'm assuming somebody like this young guy trying to make money with this, he may have um, that subscription, but still, the 300 monthly AI, it's not really a lot. Domain, plugins. Google Analytics, that's somebody like me. I'll be able to include that in your code, in your website. haven't really used Help Scout or Intercom, things like that. I do include Calendly in some of the websites. I make redirects, just means if you have a different domain name that it could redirect to the one you wanted to, versions, different versions that you're making. Actually, this reminds me of GitHub. For any you guys in the audience who knows how that works, GitHub is pretty much the repository. That just means a big ass place where you put your code and it keeps your code, in this case for free. And I give you access to that for anybody who's interested in having a website. I give you access to that. You have your repository. That just means you have all the little boxes or boxes, if you will, of the code that I've used to make your website. Access, this is when you invite collaborators, somebody who wants to come in and use up some of those AI credits. Ownerships, transfer ownership, and we're going to get back to this, client sharing. So he said, you go and you create a link. Here's what he did. One-time builder fee. Well, it's just crazy. Just so you guys know, it goes as low as $10, $10 one-time builder fee. So like what this young guy's doing, he's pretty much calling this business, David Kihas, and saying, hey, for $10, you know, I'll give you this website. But he's saying he's charging $500. I've charged that for a few clients, charging more now, but charging that, it's decent. But for this is wild. So what they will do, pay attention to this. What they will do is this guy, this roofing company would presumably pay that $500 for access to this subscription-based service. So remember, this is the big thing. David Kihas Roofing would not own this website. Presumably, this young guy would put in the prompts, etc., like that, sell them, but you would still have to be able to pay the subscription to be able to do anything with the website, to be able to access the website, to be able to have the website live. So for whatever it's worth, I hope this gentleman is making money, but you just need to be aware that you do not own the website. $100 maintenance, obviously that helps out for somebody like him who is able to pay a bigger subscription to go in there and make any AI edits. But just be aware, the most important thing with this is that you do not own the website. This is just transferring ownership, I guess if you did, to somebody else so they could pay for the subscription. And this is what you have to keep in mind for websites like this, that you don't own it, you just keep paying a subscription. This is the same thing, like I said, with Spotify and music, with Netflix and movies and things like that. So, like I said, they don't easily disclose their framework. This is landing site AI. You don't know what it is. Sometimes it's going to be difficult, even if that person, David Kihas Roofing, already had that domain. He just doesn't have it connected to anything. It would probably be also difficult to be able to take his website with him. I have not looked at how that works. If you want to take this website with you, from the looks of it, you wouldn't be able to do that. So that's just something to keep in mind. When I say take the website with you, is just imagine going into that repository, like I said, all those boxes of code, and you take them with you somewhere else to another hosting site. It could be Hostinger, Squarespace, GoDaddy, things like that. Or with somebody like me, where you could say, hey, can you help me with this website? And I'll have the code, those boxes of code. From the looks of it, landing site AI would make that extremely difficult. It's also unclear any of the AI generated content, who owns it. So that's important to kind of look into. Pricing and terms could change over time. And if this particular site were to shut down, I don't mean the David Kihas Roofing, but the landing site AI, what would happen to your website? So presumably if you keep paying monthly fees over and over and over, you presumably would be left without a website. So it's again similar to Netflix. Let's just say you have your favorite series or movie, or on Spotify, a favorite playlist, favorite album. I mean, if they remove it, even though you've been paying, you no longer have it. So uh, again, final thoughts for small business owners, because many of them, especially in my area, do not have a website. So this looks easy, and it is. Just remember, it's convenience. And as everything with convenience, we pay a price. So I'm making this video so any small business owner looking at things like this, or anybody trying to make money like this, it would behoove you, it would be in your best interest to explain to people what you're doing, and that they're actually just signing up for another subscription based service and they don't actually own the website. So whenever you come to people like me to build a site, that's where the disconnect sometimes happens, because you could look at something like this and say, well, I could just pay landing site AI, which you could just get rid of the middleman and go to landing site AI and build your site just like I did. So presumably David Keyhouse Roofing could just do the same thing, and they could pay the $10 a month and etc. But that means you would have to be invested in, vibe coding and prompting and things like that. But again, remember, this is not ownership. So if you can't take your site with you, you do not own it. Remember, a website is supposed to be a business asset, so presumably you want it sticking around in there because you want to be in business for a long time. You want to be in business for many years. Convenience, watch out for it. And remember, ownership is leverage. So thanks for the time, and as always, I got more.